These photographs have made their way online, showing what appears to be a mysterious creature moving around in the forest. The pictures were then picked up by a few websites that investigate strange creatures, but they were able to offer little information in regards to what it was, or who took the images. The only details that have emerged since being uploaded was that it was captured in either Argentina or Brazil, and that the eyewitness didn't want to be contacted in fear of being ridiculed. The individual who recorded the creature can be seen filming through their window, and the creature can be seen in the background moving through some dense shrubbery. The people who have seen the photographs have said that it resembles a large hairy man, being around 7 foot and weighing at least 350 pounds, while other commenters said the creature resembles a large wolf man, saying that the areas around Brazil and Argentina are full of stories of large wolf men. And it's even got to the point that many residents will outright refuse to walk the streets during the night, in fear of encountering one of these creatures. There's a brief moment where the creature catches the person filming it, and looks directly into the camera, giving us a good view of its face. Although the creature looks to have a humanoid-like face, it definitely doesn't match that of a human. In some instances, police have been called in to investigate these strange sightings, as residents in various towns across Brazil refused to go out during the night, and which eventually led to a nighttime curfew being imposed. Those who live in Brazil swear by what they're seeing, and have said that although these creatures are definitely rare, and aren't sighted very often, when you do see one, fear completely takes over. These beings are said to bear greyish-black hair all over its face and body, and have a stature of over 8 feet. Every measure to learn more about the creature was inconclusive. For example, a hair sample from the creature was sent to a Sasquatch Bigfoot research group, but the results came back as inconclusive. Bigfoot groups have said that it's due to results like these that's led them to believe that something is out there. Or on another occasion when the creature's footprints were investigated, but police came to the disappointing conclusion that they must have belonged to a strange-looking man. However, those who have seen the creature strongly refuted any claim that it was a human. They described its movement as walking on all fours, and its face so horribly distorted that it was far more relatable to a monkey or an ape than a human. Although some residents did say that on a number of occasions they did see it walk on 2 legs, and said it easily towered above them. Over the years there have been multiple sightings of the creature. The sightings began decades ago when children would report seeing a monster in the forest. It wasn't until CCTV was installed, and adults started to see this thing, that the stories gained traction. Those who spotted the creature would call it a canine humanoid, saying that it would often be seen throughout the nearby forests, but it would also come close to their houses during the nighttime. The appearance of the creature was so chilling that those who saw it swore to never leave the house again, and eventually led to parents not letting their children out of the house during certain times. Police reports were made by those living in these areas, demanding an answer for what this thing was. One man called in and described how he'd seen the creature perching on a railing near his home, and then spontaneously dropping 17 feet to the ground with a perfect landing. Even a group of soldiers were left traumatized when they spotted the creature speeding past them. Unsurprisingly, not everyone has accepted the existence of a werewolf, and there's many who insist that the sightings and panic were caused by a hoaxer, and that they were dressed in a werewolf costume. They claim that there were reports of a teenage boy at the time who was known for wearing a mask and jumping out of bushes to scare people. Additionally, there were reports that a police officer had found a mask, and that he was laughing to himself about the reports. However, some have said that the police were aware of what was going on, and to make people feel better they took a photograph of a police officer with a fake mask. Although this creature has been seen throughout various areas of Brazil, different countries have also reported a similar looking creature, with Michigan having the Dogman, a creature that's said to closely resemble that of a werewolf, and North America having the Bigfoot, a large ape-like creature that's said to stand over 8 feet tall. What's interesting about these creatures is that they've all been seen by everyday people for hundreds of years. All throughout history there's been reports of strange creatures that don't resemble that of a human, and even the military have released documents showing that they've investigated these sightings. As of right now, those scientists have said there's no proof of these creatures, and the most likely answer for what's being seen is either a shadow, or someone's trying to prank people. They say that if these creatures were genuine there would be more sightings. Although scientists have come to this conclusion, there's still many people throughout Brazil that believe in these claims, and that will take the necessary precautions when going out at night. Bigfoot is one of the most interesting cryptids out there, perhaps because it's the one cryptid that most resembles us. For years now, people have been coming forward with their encounters with these elusive creatures, being able to provide photographic evidence along with casts of footprints. However, it's also known for causing interesting discussions. Some think that the humanoid exists in small groups, while others have said it's not possible that such a large humanoid could exist in our world without being seen more frequently. They point to the fact there would need to be a large group of them to survive, and if this was the case they'd be seen a lot more often. Others, however, disagree with this notion, and have said that for thousands of years man has been encountering these giants, with reports coming from Tibet, America and even Australia. However, some people take it a step further, and claim that they've managed to interact with these creatures. One of these is a 70-year-old woman, who's detailed that she's been communicating with and raising a Bigfoot for almost a decade. Her incredible story details that she's raised the baby Bigfoot since it was young, and that she's even managed to teach it a few words. The woman said she can back up her story with photographs and videos, but as of right now has decided not to release these. She first encountered the Bigfoot back in 1964 in a swamp in Louisiana, saying that the creature was weak and only weighed roughly 20 pounds. She then thought that if she didn't do anything the creature might pass away. Wanting to avoid this, she took the baby Bigfoot home and started to raise it. When she got home she fed the Bigfoot, saying that its favourite food was eggs, tomatoes and goat's milk. After a couple of meals and getting the creature back on its feet, she said she released it back into the wild where it belonged. However, every time she did this she said it refused to leave and would always find its way back to her. Over the next 8 years, she continued to raise and feed the animal, but said when it reached adulthood she moved away. In 1974 she moved into a nearby town and said she had to leave the creatures behind, something she said wasn't easy. She said the following about the whole experience. He was so little and so cute. I had to do something about it. He was so defenseless, lying next to the mud and water curled up crying like a baby. His parents either passed away or had abandoned him. He brought a friend home with him. At first the other guy was shy, hiding behind the bushes, but little by little he began to trust me. So there we were sitting on my porch, 2 Bigfoots and I having dinner under the moon. Bigfoots are real and they happen to be excellent creatures, docile and better than most people, and by the way they don't smell bad like some people say. I've given you a story, tell it, that's all I want. Only another person besides you knows my secret now, and that's my friend Maggie. It's an interesting story, but as with most of these, certain questions will be put forward. You have to provide evidence when it comes to these sorts of claims, as although they make for great stories, we need to see evidence to back up what's being said. However, even some people within the science community have come forward and said that we shouldn't dismiss these sightings. One question that's been put forward is, does forensic science back up Bigfoot claims? Jeff Meldon, professor of autonomy and anthropology at the Idaho State University, have said he thinks it does, And who better to believe than an expert in the evolutionary morphology, that is the study of how primates adapted to bipedalism. In his research, Meldrum studies footprints to determine how humans have evolved for upright walking. He studies samples from Africa, as well as other places all around the world. Meldrum attributes his interest in Bigfoot to a track he discovered in southeastern Washington. It was here he says he found a fresh track, so fresh he could see the skin ridges in detail. The print was at least 14 inches long. That first sighting was over 20 years ago. Since then, Meldrum has studied over 300 footprints, as well as hundreds of photos of Bigfoot. When describing these cars, Meldrum said the feet are broader and flatter than humans. He also noted the lack of an arch and thumb-like big toe that would be similar to an ape's. Instead, there was a big toe more like a human's. The toes were longer, presumably to help navigate the uneven terrain. Furthermore, based on the imprint, Meldrum believed the print couldn't have been manufactured as some have said. The print is pressed into the ground in such a way that it shows flexibility. He noted that these prints are usually adapted to allow large primates to walk on two legs. To Meldrum, this evidence is proof that Bigfoot may exist, and it would be ridiculous to simply discount his evidence. Meldrum doesn't simply believe in Bigfoot, he is certain the creatures exist. Other researchers have pointed out that large humanoid creatures have been reported for at least the last 10,000 years, saying that ancient man has detailed their encounter with what they say are large humans. Going back, old tales in Australia said the Yowie were the original inhabitants of the Australian continent, but were completely driven out of their native lands by the men that came there to settle. However, every so often eyewitness accounts come from Australia, detailing that they've seen what looks like a Bigfoot creature. Going down the Yowie rabbit hole leads to further theories, from Australian government officials covering up further evidence, to Yowies being involved in many of the extraterrestrial and unidentified flying object sightings all around Australia. There's even subgroups of the Yowie community that defend the idea that Yowie might be an alien species, and that the Bigfoot monsters and variations could all be extraterrestrial species. The Yowie creature is commonly encountered in Queensland, with many of the eyewitnesses saying this creature is unlike anything they've seen before. So what do you make of these stories? Be sure to leave your questions and answers in the comment section below, and help us to grow this community while working to solve these unexplained mysteries. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to subscribe for more videos.